Hello friends, welcome to the King YouTube channel. Breaking news, the funding for Harry and Meghan's trip to Colombia has been exposed. Did they misuse taxpayer money? I can't help but be sarcastic about it. But hey, it's not like it was Meghan and Harry's money. They barely work an hour a week, so how could they possibly afford to fund trips like this? Did you know that the people of Colombia are finally speaking out? Let me tell you, Colombians are outraged. That money was wasted on sending Prince Harry and Meghan Markle there, and now the vice president is being forced to explain where the money came from. Harry and Meghan, where did the funds come from? A local councilman accused the vice president of squandering public money on vanity during Harry and Meghan's vacation in Colombia. And honestly, I think it's true. But what do you guys think? Do you believe Colombians have the right to be upset? I totally get it. How about you? If you think they're right, comment 1, and if not, comment 2. The city council security chief criticized the event on social media, stating that billions of pesos were spent that could have been better used to expand children's canteens, pay community mothers, seed capital for Afro communities, or refurbish sports venues in disrepair. Andres Escobar, who accused Meghan and Harry of wasting public funds on vanity, noted that the photo opportunities and social media appearances were taxed. The vice president's office paid for security, but the total cost of the trip is unknown. Here's where it gets interesting. Estimates suggest the cost could be in the millions. The reaction was so intense that the vice president had to clarify that it wasn't just them who funded it. Colombian officials have now explained how Harry and Meghan's vacation was financed after the pair was accused of costing the nation £1.5 million for security. We know they were in Colombia for a 4-day tour last week, visiting schools, plays, and other events. The daily cost was £375,000. This included 3,000 police officers, helicopters, sniffer dogs, bomb disposal squads, and a bulletproof escort for potential sniper attacks. Unbelievable, right? Harry and Meghan's host, Colombian Vice President Francia Marquez, disclosed how the visit was financed. Personal engagements were reportedly co-financed with help from international agencies. The Colombian Ministry of Equality and Equity stated that the Sussexes paid for their own trip. Interesting. Is RQL now raising money to fund their international travel to do good? The charity is doing that? You might think these two are acting out of the kindness of their hearts, but I'm skeptical and want to see the books. The RQL Foundation likely covers these trip expenses, which is terrible. Their travel costs are exorbitant for attending these events. The money they're spending could go to charity. No, they need to show up, coordinate with security, and get those photo ops in their expensive outfits, right? Marquez's office said this visit was a team effort. The Sussexes funded their trip and their team with their own money. International collaboration and charity generously supported the activities in the various locations they visited, so charitable funds, the Ministry of Equality and Equity, and the Vice President ensured that youth, women, and communities had their technical needs, mobility, and participation covered. This is outrageous. I can't believe it. Harry and Meghan are probably relieved this information is out, with the vice president now claiming we didn't pay for everything because I'm sure Harry and Meghan were trying to avoid blame. Naturally, they paid for it. We didn't cover everything, we're frugal. Our donations aren't wasted. No way. This trip raised serious questions about why the Duke and Duchess visited a country with major socioeconomic challenges, flaunting their extravagant outfits, smiles, and dance moves. They didn't change Colombia. Harry and Meghan's trip was supposedly meant to boost tourism and investment, according to Marquez's office. Is that all it was about? Were those social media classes just a way to get people into other elite schools in Colombia or to the vice president's residence for fancy displays? Did they showcase Colombia's beauty? Meghan and Harry went all out for Colombia, but really they accomplished nothing for the country. It was all supposedly for charity, to support young people who needed social media training. They didn't even bring iPads. No. Harry and Meghan's visit was more about showing that Colombia is a place where global issues converge, a country that can host various interests and is an attractive business destination. Spend charitable funds on tourism and business. This seems more like a ploy to sell their Netflix show. This is evident in the increasing number of overseas tourists. Our country's global reputation is improving, with about 6 million visitors in 2023 during this tour. Foreign media and the public learned that Colombia is making progress. That investment was a waste if that was the goal. All the coverage focused on what she wore, not on Colombian designers or sites. They simply acted like royalty. They did this to enhance their image. This tour wasn't about promoting Colombia. Colombia is a great country, but they were in luxurious accommodations. They ignored Colombia. It's sad that they used this money. I want to know where their travel and security expenses came from. This opens a massive can of worms, making their tour seem quasi-royal. Who funded this and why? Does his A1 visa suddenly require him to purchase all this extra stuff we don't understand? The government pays for it, but where does this money come from? Who signed off on these checks? How was this Colombia trip the best use of philanthropic funds? These are valid, important questions that I hope any future interviewer, especially their supporters, will ask them directly and insist on the truth. I'm tired of seeing charity money wasted in countries that truly need aid. They're squandering funds on two narcissistic individuals. They took all this money that could have helped the Colombian youth they visited, but instead it was used to have them strut around in fancy clothes. Shame on them. Shame on them. Disgusting. I hope you're as outraged as I am. This is one of the reasons we can't trust them. Their financial records should be transparent. This isn't bullying or being mean. Where did the money come from? I challenge Prince Harry and the Sussex team to ask themselves the same. Or do they not care about charity and doing good? Do they think everything is fine? No way the vice president wasn't pressured. Everyone assumed Colombia would foot the bill. Now she says, we didn't, we shared it with foreign efforts who paid for what? Where is this reflected in their year-end accounts? Which charity covered this? Why aren't more people asking these questions? This should be a major issue. This is appalling. I can't understand why. Even if they claim to have used their charitable funds, they didn't finance it themselves. Do we really think they did that? I don't. I want to stress that this is part of the bigger picture. Netflix might have covered it, possibly from their $100 million budget. Maybe. Because when you go on quasi-royal charity visits, we need to know where the money is going. RQL isn't about that. RQL's philanthropic work should be about showing up and doing good and being honest and straightforward about it. Present and active in Colombia, they should have focused on developing a responsible digital future at the Bogota Insight session. The money went to that? How will this impact things here? What charity? Showing up in Colombia, doing well in photos, what does that mean? As we work through the RQL Foundation to improve the world, we are supposedly inspired by Colombia's growth and commitment. But this charity seems more like an excuse to vacation and be treated like royalty. If I were Colombian, I would be furious. Really? Vice President, you spent the money this way? To have them salsa dance, mingle with Colombian elites, and attend seminars. Was this the best use of funds to help the nation? This is supposed to encourage visitors? None of it makes sense to me. They were in buildings and homes, not really seeing the country. Shame on them. Shame on them. Shame on them. It's all about them. This disgusts me. They're both hypocrites. I think it's time for countries to stop catering to these two. They bring nothing to the people. It's all about self-gratification for Meghan and Harry. I think King Charles cannot control the actions of two private citizens, nor can he tell the government or head of state of any independent sovereign country not to invite whoever they want. It's none of his business. He has already informed the leaders of every Commonwealth country that Harry and Meghan do not represent him, the UK, or any British overseas territory. Beyond that, there's nothing more he can do. They bring less than nothing they take from the less fortunate. Shame on them and those who associate with them in these fake endeavors, including parents, athletes, and anyone who appears with them on camera or associates with them through a charity. Moreover, why would tourists be encouraged to visit a country where you need the protection of 3,000 troops just to move around safely? The vice president should be held accountable and perhaps even fired, or Colombia should sue Harry and Meghan for the money. I feel for the people of Colombia who are now suffering because of the money spent on Meghan and Harry. They are far from being charitable individuals. Invictus funds and RQL don't have any money left. I feel bad for the veterans too. Please pull them out of Invictus. They drain the life out of everything they touch. RQL is running at a deficit. That's why they had to include something about Invictus, so they can justify it in the accounts of Invictus. Could this shed more light on why the CEO of Invictus left? I think they did use some Invictus money since we had those few minutes of Harry with the veterans. I hope more countries pull out of Invictus and create their own games. I wonder if the board can request a different patron. So basically, Harry and Meghan paid to play. I don't believe for a second that they actually paid for the trip. Colombian taxpayers did. It's disgusting. And perhaps the Sussexes thought they could recoup that money and more by selling their propaganda to other outlets. Honestly, it's mostly Meghan profiting from this. What was that woman thinking? Is she so out of touch with her country's financial situation that she would fund a 4-day vacation for these two wannabes who gave her nothing in return? How was their presence beneficial to the country and its people? The vice president uses an armored helicopter to get around every day. It looks like she was also enjoying a 4-day holiday, spending all her time with Harry and Meghan. What exactly is her job? Surely she should be more involved in the actual running of her country. Am I right in my assessment? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below.
Subscribe to our The King YouTube channel.
Thank you for watching my video.
To get more updates in the future.
I would appreciate it if you could show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the King YouTube channel. Goodbye, and I hope to see you again soon.